Namaste. Another story from India, of India. You might recollect that when you studied mathematics way back in school, there was the Fibonacci sequence or the Fibonacci series, a series of numbers that went like this: 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, and so on and so forth. Just to refresh your memory, the numbers sequenced this way because first came 0 and then came 1. What followed was 1 plus 0, 1, and then 1 plus 1, which was 2, 2 plus 1, which was 3, 3 plus 2, 5, 5 plus 3, 8, 8 plus 5, 13. So each time the previous number got added on, and this created a series. Why was this interesting or important? One, it is a pattern, a ratio found in nature in different spaces. For example, the petals of flowers or the spirals of the shells. This also is employed in computational possibilities in very many different ways. Now, this brings us to the Indian connection. The Italian mathematician in the 13th century is credited with the discovery of it, and that is why it's called the Fibonacci series after his name. However, today it is called the Fibonacci Hemachandran series after the mathematician from India, Hemachandran, who 100 years before Fibonacci had already discovered the same sequence. And this was when he was experimenting and exploring certain questions with Sanskrit poetry. Hemachandran was a poet, grammarian, lexicographer, and mathematician. And in looking for long syllable, short syllable combinations, he arrived at the Hemachandran sequence. I got to know of this interesting information from a talk of the Fields Medal awardee, Dr. Manjul Bhargava, a mathematician of Indian origin, who has won the Fields Medal and equivalent of the Nobel Prize. Namaste from Deepa Kiran.
Very long time ago, a hare found himself on a journey, on an adventure, on an exploration. He had packed some food, some water. He knew that he had to go on this exploration and he had set out. And it had been more than a day. And here he was on one summer's day. For far and wide, he could only see the dry shrubland, the dry shrublands of Africa. The food and water he had carried had finished. And he was looking here and there for some food and water, but he couldn't find or spot anything. And what had started with really excited, enthusiastic running and hopping had now become a slow walk. And as the sun was just going up above his head, it was almost noon. He thought, I don't want food, I don't want water, but the only thing I really, really want is to rest in the shade of a tree. And as if he wished it with all his heart, there in the distance, he saw an old baobab tree with its huge crown and sunlight glistening on that crown. And now his pace increased a little bit. The energy was about to return because he knew he had a place to stop. And slowly but surely, he reached the tree and he saw that beautiful shade. The cooling shade was inviting him. But before he could sit there, he turned to the tree and said, Old tree, can I please rest in your shade? And the leaves of the tree rustled, and he felt that it was a yes. And he sat in the shade of the tree with his back to the trunk. He closed his eyes, and all of his tiredness started to melt away. He felt very relaxed. He kept closing his eyes. There was a gentle, warm, but there was a gentle breeze that was also on his face, and he was really happy. Some time passed when suddenly he heard a sound. He opened his eyes, and there, just near him, there was this yellowish orange fruit that had fallen from the tree.
ದ್ವಾರಾವತಿಗೆ ದೊರೆಯಾಗಿ ಓ ದ್ವಾರಕಾ ಪಟ್ಟಣಕ್ಕೆ ದೊರೆಯಾಗಿರುವವನು ಅಂದರೆ ಉಗ್ರಸೇನ ಮಹಾರಾಜ ಮುದಿಗೊಡ್ಡು ಹೆಗ್ಗುಣ ಪಡೆದಂಗೆ ಬಿಡ್ದು ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂದ ಅರ್ಜುನ. ಗಂಧರ್ವ ಎಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ನಿನಗೆ ಹೇಳೋದು, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದು ಡುಮ್ ಅನಿಸ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ನಾನೆಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಲಿ ನೋಡು. ನಾನು ಅರ್ಜುನನಿಗೆ ಮಾತು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಶರಪಂಜರದಲ್ಲಿ ನಿರ್ಮಾಣ ಮಾಡಿ ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಗಂಧರ್ವನನ್ನು ಅರ್ಜುನ ಇಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಹೇಳಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಮಾತು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ನಾನು ನಿನಗೂ ಹೇಳಲ್ಲ.